Hello, welcome to Three Crows Runes. My name is Jen. Let's do some rune readings. Today we're doing something a little bit different because earlier in the week, of course, as we all are, I was quite concerned about things that were going on in the world of people. So because I was also worried about, there's a lot of distraction happening and there's a lot of things happening where we may feel like we can't trust, what we're getting with our fingers. So what I did was a Scattercast, which took it out of my hands and put it into the universe's hands, asking about this disturbing trend that we're seeing in the human world, around the world, where people are leaning towards more authoritarian type things. So I did Scattercast using the amethyst runes, the Elderfruth Arcana amethyst stones, which you've seen recently. And I basically did what I normally do, which is I poured it out while singing my intention, and then I removed all of the stones that were face down, and then I turned all of the other stones to the direction they seemed to want to be facing. And then I read them. Now, as you can see, this is a replica. Okay, this is a reading I baked earlier. I took a picture of it so I could replicate it for you, because the reason I'm telling you this is that as I was putting these runes away after the reading, Ansuz fell out. Wait a minute. Ansuz fell out. Ansuz fell out, which is the rune of communication and expression, and that basically said to me that this reading needed to be communicated. So I told my friends, well, the ones who are inclined to, I told some of my friends, I'm going to tell everybody else with this one. And now here I am telling you. So what's interesting about this is that it actually did fall in three very distinct clusters. So reading the way I generally do, I'm going to see this as a cluster about the past, a cluster about the present, and a cluster about the future. The central issue is very, very obvious to me. Maybe they're tiny runes, so I'm trying to see if it's visible on here. But the central issue is right here. And unsurprisingly, it is Hagalaz, which is the rune of the hailstorm, which is things that are out of our control and chaos. So I think this actually should all be a little bit lower, this line. This is a replica of the reading. So there it is. So here I am. I'm going to be reading this. I'm not going to only be doing this, though. This is the channel that we are doing. So after I do these readings, I'm going to be doing I'm going to be doing a pick a card for you. So I'm going to be using the Wisdom of the Oracle deck, so that you can pick. I'm going to put down three cards, and then you can pick one for a message that is going to be a little bit more resonant for you in relation to the message that we're getting here. So let's get started. So I just want to, it's just one of the things, there's so many things to relay. One of the things that's really important is if you are in the practice of doing this, if you're in the habit of doing this, check your chakras, because one of the things that I was doing in the past week was I was looking at that, because you just get into a daze with all that's going on. It just beats you down, and you just start to forget to remember, and then things are getting, because there's distraction happening, there's distraction in play, strategic distraction, whatever you make of that. You may have some blockages that you may want to look at and just sort of try to work through. There is music out there that can help you with this. So if you're not used to that, just, you can look up, clear various chakras and clear them. So, but it's really important. So, because we all need to be using all of our magic right now. So anyway, just definitely do that. Ask for help from whatever your connection to spirit is, whether it's guardians, guides, angels, gods, goddesses, helping spirits, the universe, source, all of that, higher self. Don't be afraid to do that now, because this is the time. It's like, this whole thing is like, I'm waiting until I need it. It's like, you need it now. We need this, all of us now. This is the time. Don't save things for a rainy day anymore, although I love rainy days. So anyway, let's get started. So I do want to actually start by mentioning what the See, this is too high. The central line, the central cluster, actually, the present cluster is actually lower because the only helping rune in it. Yes, actually, it was right just a moment ago. Okay, so, but I'll get to that. So, and I think that's actually lower as well at this. So, central issue is Hagalaz, which is sort of the hailstorm. This has to do with chaos and things that are out of our control. Obviously, we're feeling this. We're all feeling that this sense of, like at least low-key panic, if not high-key panic, that things are completely feeling out of our control and things are wild and destructive and frightening and chaotic. And the one saving thing about Hagalaz as the message of it, actually I'll give you a couple of them because there's one I'm taking from the younger Futhark that is relevant as well, which is that these things are like as old as time, and they were put in place, when in the myths where Odin and everybody was putting things in place. So this is actually, this is stuff that it's almost like a Pertho kind of thing where what is surprising us now are things that were always there. So that's one thing. The other thing that I'm going to say about it, which is more of an Elder Futhark read, but it's one of the reads I use on it, is that it is weather. It's not going to last forever, even though it wants to. Some people want it to. So it is actually, it's going to be short-lived. We just have to outlive it, basically. So that's our central issue. I will come back to that, but it's very telling to me that this is our central issue. Right. So, past cluster. We're going to start with the past cluster. This is actually it's a little more like, I'm messing it up. Again, this isn't the original Scattercast I did. This is a replica of the Scattercast I did. This is the Scattercast I baked earlier, and then I reproduced it. So, central issue, if there is one, of the past cluster is Berkana. Berkana is the rune of beginnings and birth. This has to do with something that is, it's the birch tree. So it's the beginnings and birth. There is a younger Futhark read on this rune, which is the lies that we tell to buy us luck, which does play into the read of this cluster, and you'll see how in a minute. But basically, I think this was actually touching that one, but this was touching that one. Leading up to this, like for a long time, we had a situation where it was, if there was a problem, there was a solution. If there was a problem and there wasn't a solution, there was a creative solution. And it was basically, we nipped these things in the bud for the most part. I mean, not all of it. I mean, this is a high level kind of like overview kind of thing. Obviously, not all of it was happening like that, but there was a sense of, if there was a problem, we could trust that we would come up with a solution for it. So we have Nauthies, which is the problems, it's need. Something that comes up that needs attention, we would immediately move to take that on with a creative solution if necessary. So we have Ingvaz, which was right above it. I believe it was touching it. Basically, the problem and solution, they were lined up like this. So that's what led up to the change that has started to cause all these problems. So we had problem solutions simultaneously. Sometimes we would see a problem arise, and already people had ideas. People were coming up with creative solutions. We were moving things around so that solutions could happen. I mean, again, obviously not with everything, but with a lot of things in the mainstream vision of things, in the mainstream view of things, we had problem solution. Generally, we took care of things. We nipped things in the bud when they were looking problematic. And then something started to happen. Something new began, leading out from the problems, because this was touching Nauthies. A new beginning, a new birthing. I had the idea when I was reading this, what came into my head was the realization of the areas that were causing the problems, that all they had to do was continue to do those things that were causing problems. And eventually the people who were fixing the problems would get exhausted. So that kind of thing, like just this idea of, okay, it's combined, like that, combined with we've seen this split before, where they're the people who care and are compassionate and empathic, and the people who feel oppressed by those people because they just want to do whatever they want, and they feel oppressed if that gets stopped in any way. They get annoyed and oppressed, like feel oppressed, because they just want to do whatever they want, up to and including hurting other people. Because if they can't do that, then they feel like their freedoms are being squashed and they can't be who they are. And so, this is a difficult thing, because, what do you do about this? Because there is a portion of the population of humanity who really do love to hurt other people, and it makes them feel happy and powerful, and like to be mean, and like to be, again, these are simplifications, but this is going on. And the problem with that is that in order to live in society where everybody's taking care of each other, they have to pretend they're not that, and they have to pretend to not be who they are, and they have to squish their desires, and because of that, they end up feeling like an oppressed people, which is very difficult to find any sort of solution to. So there's a combination of the people who maybe were causing the problems that were hurting people and society, and that was getting fixed, finally going, you know what, I'm just going to keep doing it. I don't care if, whatever they say, I'm just going to keep doing it anyway. They can't stop all of us, and we're just going to do it until the ones who are trying to fix things get exhausted. And so that starts to be birthed, along with the compassionate people get to a point where I believe I heard the Dalai Lama talking about something called stupid compassion, which is basically where you're afraid to walk in the park because you're afraid of stepping on a bug, because you don't want to cause any harm in the whole universe or world or anything. And you have to live. But there is an element of people who really, really care, where we've become, or they or we, depending on where you associate, this portion of the population, which is definitely, there are more people who care than there are people who don't and who want to hurt people, thankfully. But there's a portion of the population who cares, who is so afraid of hurting anybody that there starts to be lenience happening with things that need to be stopped immediately, where you're like, oh, I don't want to curb their freedoms. I don't want to make anybody upset. So I'm going to even though I know this problem is causing harm, these people causing the problems, they seem so happy. I don't want to hurt them. They're just young souls. They're just babies. They're just whatever. And we're not going to stop them. Well, the problem with that is it allows this kind of thing to birth and become and take root. Birch tree. And once a birch tree or a poplar or anything that's like that takes root, they grow really fast. And then it becomes a much bigger problem for you to solve that problem, rather than before, where it was problem solution. If there's a problem, we see the problem immediately, we're thinking of a solution and we put it in place. So this has taken root. There was a little pause, I think it's not as pronounced in my replication, between that and this rune, which is the next step on the helping line, which means that there was a moment of, uh-oh. And that's the moment where the people who are trying to help, and the people who are compassionate, and the people who really care realized, oh no, we probably shouldn't have let this go. We probably should have addressed this immediately. And there's a moment of scrambling. It was like, okay, does anybody remember where we were? We sort of lost momentum. Does anybody remember how we were doing this before? Because this needs to be stopped immediately, and we need to take this on. Maybe also there's things that are becoming, in terms of that were buried, that are coming to the surface that should have been dealt with and weren't. Because there was a lot of problem solution, but then there were things that were hidden. And then those came up, and we realized, oh my gosh, they had been going on for a really long time and had taken root, and it's horrible. And there's this moment of shock, because there was nothing. There was a whole line of nothing between here and here. So then what happened was, there's this move to like try to rush and like address this impossible task suddenly. Like, we're just going to all run at it. So this is Thurisaz is the thorn, the giant, the gateway is the challenge. It's reversed, which indicates a very, very difficult challenge. And what wasn't helping, so that's what was helping, was people were like, oh my gosh, we have to rush and do this right away. This is one of the reasons we see a lot of what got termed cancel culture, because people felt, there were a lot of things where consequences wasn't happening. Oh my gosh, my grammar. Consequences weren't happening. And they hadn't been. And it was like, oh my gosh, we have to make things happen. And so people started doing what they had control over, which was their own personal affiliations and associations and supports on things. And so where there were people who they felt should have consequences, there was that whole thing. It's like, okay, well, we don't like them anymore. It's like, and it became a big enough thing that people were like, oh, cancel culture, blah, blah, blah. Well, it's consequences, and it's a need for consequences because, as I've said in previous readings, there's a very inherent, ingrained sense of fairness in really all life. And when we don't see it, then we get very upset and we want to fix that. So there was a rush to do that. And so you saw a lot of that kind of thing happening. People are like scrambling to try to figure out what to do, but unfortunately this has already taken root. What isn't helping, of course, is doing nothing. Because of the lack of momentum, we have Isa, the rune of ice, things that have frozen in place. Like, it's almost like we don't remember the rhythm of what we used to have with problem solution. And it's like this sense of, well, that's our momentum. It's like we haven't done anything about it in so long. It's like, how do we even begin again? And one of the things that got tried, and as you can see, it's a little bit lower and it's a little bit tilted. It's like a fallen version of it. Was Ansuz, which is the rune of communication, manifestation, and expression. So we tried communication. Communication didn't work. It started to fail working. And we are seeing like that pendulum swinging into a place where the ones who want to cause harm are very busy building their tower. As Hagalaz suggests, this is going to be a temporary thing. Like it can't last. It's not sustainable and it can't last. The pendulum will swing there, and then it can only go back. The tower can only collapse. Evil always destroys itself. So it's one of those things where it's definitely, it's not going to last super, super long in the grand scheme, but we do have to try to survive through it. So, but yeah, we started to try communicating because that's one of the things that the people who care do very well. But because the people who have felt oppressed, which are the people who were feeling oppressed because they weren't doing things that were good for a continuing empathic society that takes care of itself and each other, but they just decided we're just going to keep doing it. And then the people who are trying to fix it will get exhausted, and then we will just keep doing it. That's what these people want, is no consequences and no responsibility, and just to go and do this because of anything else is unacceptable to them, because they feel oppressed, because they have had to pretend to be who they weren't. And I don't know any solution to that. I've tried to try to work out and even cast to find a solution to that, how these people can be accommodated, because accepting and loving them only makes it easier for them to cause harm. Like they go, oh, good, you're making it easy for me then. So, we do what we can. We just continue. And this is, again, things that have been in place from the beginning of time, except right now they're in a situation where they feel empowered and they are sort of banding together and going, we're just going to do whatever we want. And now we're winning. Say they, which they're not, because this is going to destroy them too. So on to the second cluster, the present cluster. So first of all, the central issue of the second cluster, is Hagalaz, which is the rune of the hailstorm. This has to do with chaos, things that are out of our control, things that it's swift, destructive. Natural forces and weather. So whatever it is, like it's a natural occurrence. And I think this is going to happen anytime you have a situation where you're always going to have this, it's going to be like an uprising of this, where they've felt like people are telling them they're wrong their whole life. People have been telling them that they're, I'm sorry, but people are telling them, like, you're stupid, like, you're wrong, you're evil, you're bad, you're all these things. And in order to get along, they've been trying to be good, air quotes, and which is like not, if you're only doing that for a reward, then you're not really. So, but that's the thing, is then they feel oppressed. They feel like they've not been able to be who they are. So there becomes an uprising. And so first of all, what isn't helping us, and you'll notice that the entire present cluster is all below. There's nothing that's helping us. Like, there's nothing. And the thing about that is the only thing that we have, if you're among the people who are caring and compassionate and empathic and want to help people and want to keep things functioning, the only thing that we have to do, it's what helps, but it's the only thing to do, is just keep taking one step at a time. Take the next correct step, or do the next right thing, as the song goes. Take the next step. Just keep taking the next step. Don't give up. Keep moving forward, even if it feels like the road is long, even if it feels like the steps are difficult. Keep taking that step. There's even a bit in Antoine de Saint-Exupéry about that. It's like, what saves a man is to take a step and then to take another step. It's always the same step, but you have to take it. Now, that was about getting out of the desert when you're, otherwise the choice is to die in the desert, but still, it's effective for just life. Just keep moving forward. So that's what we have to do if we are, very concerned and compassionate and caring about what's happening. Right now, this has to play itself out. So the only thing that can help is the only thing that we have on our path. We have nothing above this. So we just have to outlive it. So what led up to this part of it is basically Algaze reversed. Algaze is the rune of the elk. It has to do with protection and support. It is reversed on it's almost path line, but it's below it. So it's not helping. The fact that the support is gone. There's a lot of what used to be supportive, and that's gone now. That's basically, we have to do it for ourselves. We have to take care of ourselves and each other, presumably those in our circle of those who we care about. But basically, a lot of supports are gone. Quite possibly because this is a revenge thing from the people who have felt oppressed and are now saying, well, yeah, now we're winning, so let's just start hurting the people who made us feel inferior all these years. So they start removing things that are supporting people, removing things that are making people's lives good, removing things that are saving people. So a lot of the support is being taken away, which leads to just the central issue of things that are out of our control, chaos, destructive if short-lived time, where natural forces are happening. And these are things that have been in place from the beginning of time. The thing about that is, the next step to that is, they will feel that they've won. They will feel now is our time. They will feel that they are now in their season. They are getting the abundance they want, which is just to have, all the cruelty they want to have. It's going to be like their season. So we have, which did I talk about this? Ivaz, rune of patience, slow growth, slow development. That's the only thing we have, which is the step-by-step. The next step, if this is their step, down here, what isn't helping, is next to the central issue, which is Yira, which is the rune of the harvest and also time. So it's a season, basically. It's a year kind of thing. If it's only a year, that'd be great, but unfortunately, we'll see. But yeah, so we have the harvest. So they're reaping what they've sown. They are getting out of it what they put into it, and now there is this situation of, they will think that they are having this time of abundance. They think they are having their season. This is their time. The problem is, and this is what I was saying, is like the tower that is built like this always collapses, and it takes everybody with it. I mean, think of other times in the past when there has been an uprising of that kind, where people who like to hurt other people have become very, very powerful. And they just keep amassing and amassing and amassing. And then that tower collapses big time, like huge time. And so this is like their, even though it's one of the lowest runes in the spread, this is their like pinnacle moment of, yay, we win, we're winning, we have beaten those who have oppressed us all this time. And, now is our time. La la la, reaping the harvest. But then, very close to that, what isn't helping anybody is that it gets out of their control as well. Because, like, if you make cruelty the whole culture, guess what? Yes, you're happy you get to be cruel, but everybody else can get to be cruel to you too, and you can't say anything about it because you wanted this. So things are going to get really, really nasty and mean and cruel, and it's going to be the thing. Meanwhile, everybody who cares about everybody, and including the ones who are doing this to themselves and everybody, we keep moving forward. We keep taking those steps. Oh yeah, this was angled. This was angled and this was angled, because there are some important paths to that. So the only thing that helps at this point is the fact that the people who care about each other continue doing that. No matter what happens with all of the cruelty and whatever happens with all the meanness, we keep moving forward. We keep taking it step by step. We keep doing the next thing that we know is the right thing to do, as far as taking care of each other, as far as taking care of ourselves, keeping ourselves protected, moving between worlds as necessary. Just basically have the the things that are bigger than you in a helpful way. Have that connection as well, which is, whatever that is for you. Meanwhile, all of this is getting worse and worse and worse. There will be shortly a feeling of the people who have started with this birthing and put this in place. There will be a moment not long from now where they will feel like, we win everything. It's our world now. It's, whatever we want. And then almost immediately after, there's going to be that sense of things getting out of their control, out of their hands, things that are just going to get even worse. We have Kaunaz, which is the rune of the torch or the fire, and this is upright, so it's expansion. It's something that starts small like an ember and expands into a blaze and is very soon completely out of their control. So that's the present cluster. On to the future cluster. Now, central issue for the future cluster, we don't have one. And so the way I was reading this is the central issue for the future cluster is the gap that has formed between those who are now in a completely overwhelming, chaotic world of their desire initially and then creation ultimately. And this is just going to continue. This is just going to continue. They've made this, and it's just, that's their whole world now. This endless, overwhelming chaos. We have Dagaz, which is the breaking of the day, and it's this new world for them, in which they will exist, and in which they will continue to exist, and that's not going to stop. Now, there is another read on this that I'm going to bring in, and I didn't want to see this. But I see it now, and it's like, it's quite possibly something that might play into this. So, breaking of the day, it's the dawn, it's the overwhelm, it's the sun, like flaring. Right now, I am hearing a lot from other readers and from mediums and from other places about an impending flash of light. Implied that, the solar activity that's going on, we are in a solar max at the moment, is going to result in like a Carrington event level solar flare CME that is going to really disrupt things, like a lot. Now, the people who are talking about the flash of light usually talk about the 3 days of darkness afterwards, and the whole the shift and the split and things like that. I'm not going to go there, but I am going to say there is definitely a split. I mean, there's already a split. Like, we see it, we feel it. The people who are empathic and care and want the best for other people, splitting off very, very strongly now with the people who are it's like they're trying to make themselves unreachable. Now, that's not the case. I know a lot of people who have been in this. It's sort of like a cult where they basically will, finally something will hit on them and they will be like, wait a minute, this isn't good. And then, they will sort of try to find their way back to a more empathic and a more caring and heart-centered sort of existence. This happens. So I'm going to be very I'm going to be simplifying all of this, but I am also very much aware that it's not as simple as the simplification that I'm doing. Everything is gradient, and everything is, there's going to be a scale for all of it. But anyway, the central issue for this is the gap that has formed at this point. Like after this present cluster and after this moment of where the tower starts to collapse, you're going to see this major gap. And you see this one, the step-by-step, is pointing to this. And this one, the things getting out of control, is pointing to this. And this is there. This is a gap. This is like the gap. Not the store, but this is the central issue, is like that in the future there's going to be a very almost unbridgeable distance between those who have chosen to go with this and to live in this world of overwhelm and drama and cruelty and just the constant screaming, and those who just carefully and hopefully quietly under the radar just took the step by step to the point where they are in the future living in a situation where they are letting their hearts lead, making sure that they're compassionate, making sure that they're empathic, making sure that they keep on top of their emotions, like they're acknowledging the emotions that they're having, but they're letting them flow like a river. We have Laguz, which is the rune of the water. This is emotion, intuition, and heart. Really focusing also on intuition, focusing on just caring about each other and living that kind of life and flowing, letting things flow on with that. And just this becomes where these people become out of reach of the people who have put themselves into this chaotic world that goes forward as well. And these people still care about these people, but these people are no longer thinking about these people because these people, they think they overthrew them. They think, oh, well, we're no longer oppressed, and they're telling themselves that they're happy about this. Meanwhile, they're living in absolute chaos and cruelty and just this totally overwhelmed situation where things have gotten out of their control. These people who have been consistently trying to just work behind the scenes and make things better for people, including these people, are continuing to do that. And there are going to be things that are going to make the lives of these people better. They may not notice. Like, they may not even notice. Some might. But the ones who are just so embroiled and so entangled with what they've created, it's going to be just this constant roar of insanity and chaos and just everything in your face. So ultimately what's going to happen on the helping side of things is we have manas reversed, sadly, which is basically it's tuning out the din. I mean, you see this, like these two reflect each other. So we've got the middle of the big part of like manas, but it's at the bottom, and it's going to keep it at the bottom. It's going to be like, these people chose this. They want this. They want to have this. And maybe the best way we can help them to be happy is to give them that world in which to be that, because they're so tangled with themselves and being cruel to each other and enjoying it that the people who are helping people can just go on and just do things, and we just have to let these people be. I don't know what that's going to involve. I don't know if there's going to be like, maybe you go and have your own place to be and do this, or what. But it looks like that is happening. So this is why I'm saying, it's like, I didn't want to see this because I've been seeing all these reads on, a future, and perhaps a very almost immediate future, where there is going to be a separation and there is going to be, a flash of light, and whether that is the overwhelm that is going on here, or whether that is just basically the the realization, the revelation and the enlightenment of the people who care a lot, just going, you know what, the best thing we can do for them is just to let them have this, because then they won't feel oppressed anymore. They're not going to be safe or comfortable, but it's, maybe we have to do that so that we can go on and continue to make good things for the world and bring good things through. And then that happens where they're like, we're just going to do our own thing. We care about them, and we're going to continue to care about them, and we're going to send down to them as much, not down, but we're going to send to them whatever we can that we think might help. But we're not going to try to get involved anymore. We're not going to try to make them be having to pretend to be something they're not anymore. So anyway, that's the future reading. So that was the reading. And then as I was putting it all away, Ansuz fell out, and that's basically communicate this. So I'm telling people as I can. I've begun to tell my friends, and I'm telling you all here today. So that's that. So now what I'm going to do is I am going to draw 3 cards from the Wisdom of the Oracle deck, and I'm going to lay them out, and then you can pick one or all of them, because, we all have many aspects of self. And then I'm going to read that with a splash reading from the carnelian runes, because carnelian is courage and heart. And then hopefully we'll have some guidance to help us in this present period of time where we're just taking it step by step and trying to just outlive all this craziness. So I will see you in a flash, because I'm just going to turn, it's going to be a second for you, because I'm going to turn the camera off. I'm going to put the runes away. I'm going to put out the 3 cards, and it's like, ta-da! And then you can pick one. So just a sec. Hello, I'm back. See, I told you it would just be a second. It was actually not a second to me. It was like a minute. So anyway, I have 3 cards for you. Card number 1, card number 2, or card number 3. And you can feel into the cards, and one or more of these is going to have a message for you pertaining to the reading that I just did, the Scattercast that I just relayed about the situation in the world. So feel into the cards. Is it card number 1, card number 2, or card number 3? I will put the timestamps in the description, along with the timestamps for each part of what I just read. And I will see you at the readings. Bye. Hello, card number 1, people. So let's turn this and see what the message is for the building blocks. Okay, so carrying on from the Ivas, where you're taking a step by step, just basically surviving this. You're going to be seeing, as you do that, you're going to be seeing things that you're going to want to bring into the new world, such as it will be. What you're going to want to carry with you, what you're going to want to carry forward, instead of just you don't want to leave everything behind, because there is good. There is good there, and there are things that need to be brought forward. We don't want to go forward and not have art or great works of literature or music or, things that are good and things that help people, or, medicine and technology and things where it's things that are actually helping. So we want to basically remember the things that need to be building blocks, and even things like just, remembering agricultural practices and things that we need to survive and live, and, how to do things, how to be, plumbers and electricians and mechanics and carpenters. So there are things that we need to use that are the building blocks of any society, let alone an empathic society, let alone a cruel society. So we need to keep these, because a lot of the things, as you saw in the big reading, a lot of these things are going to start to get taken down just out of spite, because these people have felt so oppressed that they want to remove it from the people who care about it, just to hurt them. Not remembering that it hurts them too. It's like when I was in high school. I'm going to tell this story. When I was in high school, a few of my literary friends thought it would be a good idea one day to get a whole bunch of super balls, the little hard rubber little balls that you throw and they bounce really, really extremely. and go into the stairwell of the school and just fling them at the wall. And we did. None of us thought of this. Like, when none of us thought of the implications of. We just thought it would look cool because, like, the super balls, they'd be really bouncy and it would bounce. We all went into the stairwell and we all threw the super balls at the wall, completely forgetting that we were corporeal. So we had to make a hasty escape from the stairwell because we were suddenly in the middle of super ball attack. So this is how we learn. So anyway, but we were supposed to be intelligent. We had gaps in our intelligence, apparently. So anyway, yes. So just a humorous story to just remind us that sometimes we think we have a really good idea and we forget to think it completely through, and that we are also going to be. If you want to make the world horrible to hurt people who want the world to be nice, you have to remember that you don't have any other world to go to either. So anyway, remembering the building blocks of what we need to carry forward is really your focus, and just keeping that in mind. So what do we need to know? What are the runes what do the runes have to say to clarify this? Okay. Oh, wow. Okay. A new birth and beginning. Yeah, because it's upsetting. It's upsetting. Okay, here's your splash. And that's nice. Here's a little poetic ending to your splash. So your central issue on the splash reading for building blocks, card number 1 people, is Berkana. So we saw Berkana before in an unpleasant thing. Now it's like in Sapsara, it's like she was cursed by the ring fitting. Maybe she will be blessed by the shoe fitting. So let's have a new beginning of our own. And our new beginning of our own is, because it's been so upsetting, we have Laguz reversed. It's the rune of emotion. It's emotion, intuition, and heart. It's reversed, so it's like something that wasn't flowing. And the rune is even a little darker, even though it's always darker, but I'm going to see it in terms of the story. Things that weren't flowing, we need to rebirth them. Also, it's emotion, it's reversed, it's in the leading up line, so it's like there's been negative emotions. Things, we haven't been happy. Things haven't been, flowing. Emotions have been upheavally. We've been very upset. We've been trying to keep on top of that. We've been trying to keep that tamped down. Some of us have gone numb. It's really difficult. So we need to get that started again. So we have Berkana, which is the rune of beginnings and birth. It's the birch tree. We need to plant our own tree and get that to take root, and then that will start making things better. And so we're planning this. We're building the foundations for that. What is going to help us? We have Manas, which is the rune of humanity, and your part in it. So we are basically we're birthing this, and then we're going to see this new version of humanity coming out, where we are looking at each other with joy. We are trying to help each other. We're just doing the best we can to take care of each other and finding a place where we belong, that sense of belonging, giving belonging to those who want to do that, to those who actually want to really at heart want to make sure that we're taking care of each other. I'm going to get to what I want to say right now. I'm sort of getting back to the problem solution simultaneous thing. We have that starting on the next step, but we'll get to that in a second. So yeah, what helps us is just basically looking at each other, caring about each other, trying to make start a new world where we feel like we belong again, where we feel comfortable facing each other. What isn't going to help is there is a lot of stubbornness. Momentum has been lost. We have Uruz, which is the rune of the wild ox. What is going on is very strong, and what is going on feels very solid, and it's frightening. And the wild ox is a very positive rune in general, but if it's in the lower line, it speaks of a fear about that thing. So we're worried that what has happened is immovable. And it is, because it's something that happened in the past. So, we can't change what happened. We can re-illustrate it. We can sort of put new colors around it and say, at the same time as that was happening, which was not good, we still were trying. You look down and it's like, I was thinking about the personified gods of the moon, gods and goddesses of the moon, and they look down and what they're seeing the most of. Because if you just look at everybody, it's only a few people that are making things horrible. Like, it really is. It's really only a few, but they're doing it really loudly, and they're in positions of power, and it's causing a lot of problems because yes, there aren't very many of them, but they're in positions of power and they're doing it loudly. So this makes them seem a lot more strong and solid than they would otherwise. But if you look at the whole world, what you're going to see more of is people caring about each other, people helping each other, people taking care of each other, people loving each other, people wanting to love each other. So it's not as big a thing as the people who are getting themselves in positions of power so they can hurt people are making it out to be. It's not as big as the people who use relaying news stories as a means of making money and getting ratings are leading you to believe. Truly look at the world. Like, think about all the people. Think about all the people in the world. Most people in the world are taking care of each other and want to care about each other and have empathy. And if we didn't, we wouldn't have gotten as far as this. So it's just, it wouldn't have happened. It's like that whole thing about, like, what do you consider to be, the first sign of civilization? And somebody said it was a bone that we found that had been mended. Because if everybody was just like chaotic, wild, running around, hitting each other with sticks, nobody would care about that. But obviously, this was somebody that, people cared enough about to take care of them, to bind their leg, to make sure that the leg, was it a leg? I don't remember. But to bind the bone and make sure that it healed. That's who we are in general, most of us. That's really most of us. So if you're looking from above, that's what you're going to see. The majority of humanity does care about each other. We may not agree with each other on things, but we do, in our circles at least, care about each other. And that's what we're going to try to do, and that's what's going to help us move forward in this new world, bringing forward what does work and bringing forward what does help. What this is going to lead us to is we have Ingvaz, which is the rune of Ing. It's the rune of active creation. Ing is another name for Frey, and Frey is the fertility god. So there is another element of, bringing this together and like creating new generations, things that we're going to move forward with. But I am also seeing this as a little echo back, a little callback to the first part of the past cluster, where it was problem solution. And this is where we are starting to really pick up and say, what needs to be done? Let's make it happen. And just basically to shape our reality and our world as we move forward. And just start to be like, let's start to really keep that in mind and watch for things that need to be fixed immediately. And as soon as something comes up, we'll fix it. And we'll try to get back into that momentum using the good that we've brought forward from before. So that card number 1, people, is your splash reading about that. I wish you all the best with this, and I wish all of us all the best with this, and I wish you a lovely day or evening. Take care till next time. Bye. Hello to those of you who chose card number 2. Let's turn this and see what we have. We have time for a nap. Okay. And a little fox. I love foxes. They're one of my favorites. So, time for a nap. Those of you who chose this card, we are in a situation right now, as we saw in the big Scattercast, that all we can do is just keep trying to move forward, keep taking the right step next. Oh, grammar. Keep trying to take the next good step. And we just have to keep moving forward. We have to just survive what's going on and just let it collapse itself. So we just have to keep doing this. But we don't have to exhaust ourselves, and it's important for us not to exhaust ourselves. So definitely give yourself a 4 of Swords kind of moment. If you are getting overwhelmed and if this is too much, do this. Trust to natural grace and let yourself rest. Don't think that you have to save the world, because at this point, there are things in motion that the only thing that we need to be doing is caring about each other. Those of us who care about each other, need to care about those we care about. Take care of each other and let each other rest and take rests ourselves. So that's going to be important for those of you who chose this card, and pretty much everybody. I think all 3 of these readings, these final, the Pika cards, are really going to apply to look at that, are really going to apply to everybody. Really. Whoa, there it goes. And there's our patience rune again. Nice. Yeah, because it is. And then, okay. This is lovely. So Central issue here, we have Avaz. Avaz reversed. Avaz is the rune of the horse. The horse has to do with movement and spirit, whatever spirit is for you. So this and this are both saying rest. Let your spirit carry you inwardly and let your spirit carry you forward, because you are tired. You've been standing strong for a long, long time, and it's exhausting. Central issue, Avaz reversed. Don't run around crazy. Let yourself rest. And let your spirit carry you inwardly and also forward. What led up to this? Obviously, you've been very, very strong. You've been resisting. You've been very, you've been looking at, your strength. You've been standing very groundedly. This is the aurochs, but I'm thinking of the musk oxes, where they would stand in a circle with their horns all facing out to protect what they needed to protect inside the circle. And this is like what's been going on, and you've been standing so strong and just resisting what's been happening. Let yourself rest. Let yourself rest. Trust spirit. Trust the natural grace of things, and let spirit carry you inwardly. Let it show you what needs to be shown to you. Just let spirit carry you, basically. What is going to help you? We are still doing that step by step that we saw in the big Scattercast. Just keep moving forward, even if it's slow, even if the road looks long, even if you have to move between worlds, waking, dreaming, you have to just give yourself that, but just keep moving forward. We just have to keep taking the next step that needs to be taken, do the best we can, and just keep taking the next step and let yourself rest. What isn't going to help, we have Ingvaz. Ingvaz is the rune of active creation. It's in the lower line, so it's basically don't try to force things to be what they're not. Do what you can, but don't try to wrestle things like, it's when I was in grade school, we were playing floor hockey, and I got so annoyed. I was playing goalie. I was terrible. I've never been good at sports, I'm afraid. Well, maybe ping pong, but I got so annoyed and so worked up that I was actually running out into the floor and trying to stop people from even getting near the goal, and I got in trouble for that. I was really young. I was like grade 4, but but anyway, you might feel like all the crazy stuff that's happening, and here you are standing strong, and it's like it's not helping anything. You just want to run around and charge around and try to fix things by force. That's not going to help you. It's just going to exhaust you more. So what this is saying is, if you feel tempted to do that, take your deep breath and just say, you know what, that craziness, I'm done with that. I'm not going to mess with that. That's taking itself out. So I'm just going to keep taking the steps that I need to take, and I'm going to let myself rest, trusting the natural grace, trusting the spirit, whatever spirit is for me, trusting to the foxes, and if foxes are for you, what they are for me. And and look at this picture here. Okay, I'm going to get to that because of this. And ultimately, what this is going to lead you to is you'll awaken, you'll feel rested, and you'll feel supported. That's the big thing, because one of the problems that we saw in the big Scattercast is this strong sense of we're losing support, we're losing our protection. And if you are doing this, what this is saying is let yourself rest, trust in natural grace, trust to spirit, whatever spirit is for you, and then keep moving forward step by step, patiently. When you come out of this rest, you're going to feel more supported. You're going to feel supported by yourself, obviously, but you're going to feel more supported by the natural grace, more supported by spirit, and more supported by the people who are walking with you on this long path. And see this picture. I don't know if it's as clear in this. Can I make it not reflective? There's a serene face watching over the little fox while the little fox is sleeping. And of course, the moon is also calm and nurturing and allowing the fox to sleep on its lower horn. Because that's the horn of the moon. Anyway, and then the stars are all there, and so it's all just very calm and peaceful and serene, and the fox trusts all of this. So you will feel like you'll remember that there are things that you can trust. There are things that you can feel supported by, even while all of this craziness is going on, and you're taking step by step by step, because you got to. Let yourself rest, and you will start to feel, hey, you know what? I do have more support than I thought I did. So it's good. So that is your reading for the card number 1 people and for everyone. And I wish you all the best with this. And I wish all of us all the best with this. And I wish you a lovely day or evening. Take care till next time. Bye. Hello, card number 3 people. So let's turn this card and see what message you have for the whole Scattercast. Clean it up. Okay, card number 3 people. You heard them. Clean up the house, do 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 do. Clean up the house, do 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 do. Everybody clean up the house, do 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 do. I was a Big Bear in the Big Blue House fan when it came out. I was like a totally grown-ass adult when that came out. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to say the A word. But I've always been into puppetry. I've always been into Henson Studios. And so Bear in the Big Blue House was like one of the greatest shows ever created, and also has one of the greatest role models for adults in it. I am not even kidding. If you haven't watched this show, Bear is like one of the greatest role models in a children's program for an adult ever. But I was doing a reading for you, so on we go. So clean it up. We have a stag with a feather duster, and there's a face in the side of the stag. Not sure what that's about, but anyway. Card number 3 people. Here's the thing. There are things we can do. And it's one of those things where like everything that's happening, that's all crazy. And it's designed, a lot of it, to make you feel helpless and to make you feel like there's nothing you can do. And to make you feel like, you know, it's out of your control. There are things in your control. There are always things in your control. And even if you're only tending your own acre, which this is suggesting, it's like, do what you can do, you know, as above, so below, as below, so above, as within, so without, etc. Clean up what you have access to, you know, do what you have control over, like do what you have the ability to do. Tend your acre, take care of your acre, and trust that as you do this, that's going to extend out and that other people are doing the same thing. Because if everybody, instead of running around trying to clean up everything, if everybody just takes their acre and does what they can there, then you will feel better because you will be able to see the progress in your acre as you tidy it up. But tidy it up. But also, you just trust that everybody else, there are other people doing this, and the more we can do this, you know, we're making things better, basically. Jim Henson, actually, speaking of Henson, there's a quote about, I don't have, the book is over there, I'm not going to go and look for it, that one of the people that he admired the most was the people that walked along the side of the road and with a dustpan and picked up the trash that was there. Because here's somebody, you know, no matter what else was going on in the world, somebody who's making the world better one little piece of trash at a time. And just that's, you know, to live like that, where you are doing that good. You know, you are doing that little bit of good, one thing at a time. And that's kind of the thing, you know, like if you can just do that kind of thing. So leading up to this, we have Lagos reversed. Same as with the first. The first card had this rune in this spot, in this position. And basically things have been upsetting. Things have been not moving forward. Things have been a bit dingy. This rune is actually a slightly darker carnelian than the rest of them. So that's always the case, but in this case, it's quite relevant. Also, you may have felt, you know, emotional upset, like there may be like unpleasant emotions happening. You may have been feeling numb. And again, the whole thing about things, you may have lost, you know, your heart may not be in things. You may feel like things aren't flowing forward. So now you're in a situation where you're basically like, no, you know what? I am going to step up and do something that I feel is my part in the world. This is Mana's central issue, is Mana's is the rune of humanity and your part in it. Not your place in humanity, but like your part in the great song, and a sense of belonging, and just basically like, I'm going to do my part. What part I have in the world or the universe or the universes, I'm going to do what I can do, and that'll be my part that I'm doing. And that's what the focus is. Clean it up. You know, basically whatever I can do from where I am in the world, I'm going to do that. And then I will know that I am doing what I can do. What is going to help you is you're going to prioritize. You're going to look around. We have now these reversed. Now this is the rune of need. Nauthiz always means tend to your needs, but when it's reversed, it means drop everything and tend to your needs. It's like an emergency thing. So you're basically going to be prioritizing. You're going to triage. You're going to look for what needs your attention first, and you're going to do that first, and then you're going to go from there. Nauthiz reversed also reminds you to tend your own needs. It's inner. So make sure your own oxygen mask is in place before attempting to assist another, is the message. So there's that going on as well. So make sure you're taking care of yourself. Don't neglect yourself while you're doing this. But look at what needs to be done around you that you have access to, that you can control and that you can do something about, and prioritize those. Like, see what needs to be done first, do that first. See what needs to be done next, do that next. That's what's going to help you. You don't have to do everything at once. You don't have to run around crazy with a feather duster and antlers on your head. You can, but it's not going to help you as much. What isn't going to help? We have Uruz, which is the rune of the wild ox. This has to do with strength, health, stubbornness. It's a very positive rune in a very negative spot. So we are worried about how ingrained things seem to be. We are worried about how stubborn things seem to be. We're also, there also is a sense of, first, don't feel like, you are the only one who is the authority on any of this. It's like, don't feel like my way or the highway. That's a very small read on this one. Another read on this one is just digging in and not moving forward. Like, you feel like it's like the momentum has been stuck for a while. And so if you maintain that, if you feel like, well, if I'm not moving, then I'm not moving, and it's basically getting stuck there. So there's that. But yeah, just having like a hard head about it, like just going, fine, let the world burn. I don't care. But you can still you still live here, so so do what you can do to clean up, like what you can, like what access you have. It's going to help you too. Just forget that you're saving the world. Just save you, and that's fine, because that's going to echo out. That's going to ripple out, and it's going to help. If you want to make the world a happier place, make yourself happy, because then there's one more happy person in the world, and you've raised the vibe, and it's good. So. Just basically is like, try not to let yourself be mired in the loss of momentum that we've had, and try not to let yourself, dig in and be sulky and and that kind of thing. And try not to worry about the things that do seem to be immovable, because there are things you can do and there are things you can move. Bring yourself back up to looking around and going, what needs me the most in this moment? That. I'm going to do that first. So it's like looking at a messy room and go, okay, dishes first, then I'll take the garbage out, then I'll mop the floor. You prioritize. Look at what needs to be done and do it in order of need. What this is going to lead you to is you're going to feel like, okay, I can manifest things in the world. I can manifest a clean kitchen. I can manifest making things a little easier for my life and the life of those whom I love around me, in my space, in my acre. So this is Ansuz. It's the rune of communication and manifestation and expression. So there is a communication aspect. Once you've done this, you will feel clearer. You'll be able to communicate what you know about it. But I really do see this very strongly as referring to manifestation, because before it was like nothing was working, nothing was flowing, things were miserable, you felt numb. But then you're like, I'm going to do my part. And you did. And then at the end of that, you're like, I can manifest things. I can make the world a better place. And just basically sending that out there and saying, hey, everything is miserable right now, it seems. But you know what? I just did this. I just did my laundry. I just did this thing. You can do that too, and let people know. Just say it's okay. We don't, just because the world is miserable doesn't mean that we have to, in honor of that, be miserable and do nothing. What we need to do is just start taking care of things. Take care of what needs to be taken care of, and that's how we're going to manifest the world that is going to be a more comfortable world. So that card number 3, people, is your reading. I wish you all the best with this, and I wish all of us all the best with this. Have a lovely day or evening. Take care till next time. Bye.